Curious about the dynamics of these teams as well. When we've talked about Mouse Sports in the past, especially when Tricky was on the roster, we were talking about pulling the aggro away from I'm the Doom, making sure that there was multiple threats on the team. But I feel like when you're playing against G2, it's a different style of game because almost always you have to be the aggressor and G2 will play around how you play. Does that affect things coming in for Mouse Sports? Does that change the way that they're going to have to play the game?
I don't think it changes too much because that's actually the way that especially Leon likes to play. Like, they like to be the ones being the aggressors. They like to be the ones going in and trying to make plays happen. So it shouldn't be too much of an issue for them to try and adjust around that. But we are going to see Krull and then Arden, that first pick, that focus on the Arden that we're seeing so prevalently in Update 2.9.
No Baron ban, we mentioned it, didn't come through. The Kestrel ban actually ends up going from G2, and that is because we saw the Doom do such an incredible job on the Kestrel in the CP jungle role. So as our G2 are respecting it, the Lyra ban comes through. It's not too significant because G2 still has multiple heroes to pick from for the captain role.
Certainly do. It's going to be Vox taken off the table. Rhyme is available if they want to take that to go toe-to-toe against the Crawl coming out from G2. Curious to see how this one's going to pan out. We do have a couple of captains banned away though, so G2, the Catherine is available, as you mentioned. We'll see if that is something that they can lean towards. But look at the win rate for Arden here in EU.
Rhyme is still open, and it's something that I actually would love to see Mouse Sports pick up against the Cruel here, just because so you can have that stronger jungle matchup that you can pressure with and shut down the Cruel with. Because if they don't, Cruel with G2, especially because they have multiple hyper carries that they can choose from. The Baron, now that is taken away, they still have the Celeste that they can go for. Mouse Sports, instead, they say we're going to go for the Baron, maybe last pick Rhyme, but take away the Baron from Hundor. We
saw what can happen to Baron players against Hundor yesterday. Baron, 100% win rate, apparently. That's definitely not accurate. We saw it lose yesterday. But Hundor, on the Celeste, absolutely destroyed a Baron yesterday.
Yeah, it's definitely a pick that... It's one of those situations where when someone is so profoundly known for playing a certain pick, they know how to play against it. And so that's the situation with Hundor. Yes, he's a phenomenal Baron pick. It makes sense to try and take it away from him, but he also knows how to play against it. So it'll be interesting to see, especially if, you know, maybe there's that situation where Leon takes the Baron up into the lane to play against Hundor. You get that little bit of that friendly rivalry between those two going on. Would be really interesting to see. It is going to be that Celeste once again for Hundor, though. That seems to be his answer to the Baron pick.
Churnwalker would be exciting. Typically,
I mean, it works well against Baron because he's very mobile. I don't know how confident G2 are in that pick, though.
It would be a controversial one. It's one we've not seen here in Europe just yet. I would love to see it come out. I've been talking about that all of yesterday. It's going to be a Finn locked in, though, making sure that they can protect this Celeste and also have that triple CC composition.
I would love to see Rhyme come out here just because, especially since they picked the Finn, that's a lot of immobility coming out from the G2 side. So if Finn is in the lane, you can easily invade and try to shut down the Cruel with Rhyme.
Yeah, there's definitely an option. You can also just build up your fortified health extremely easily because Finn is not going to be able to dodge out those Winter Spires very well at all. So there's a lot of definitely potential for a Rhyme pick here. But it is going to be a Koshka. They're going to try and just win this early and just snowball that early game advantage up into the lane to get this Baron accelerated. You know, we talked about yesterday, the two of us we kind of had a little bit of disagreement. I want to clarify what I said. When I said that Baron is a little bit stronger, a little bit earlier than Celeste, it's the tension bow spike. When Baron gets the tension bow, at that moment, until Celeste hits level 8, Baron is stronger. Celeste then gets her power spike at the level 8 mark, and then late game, it just becomes kind of who gets the first shot off. But they really, I think, are going to be focusing on trying to get this Baron to that first item power spike as quickly as possible.
All right, Zara, how are you expecting this game to play out here?
I don't really like the Koshka pick. I mean, it serves the same purpose in that they want to play aggressive and snowball. The only thing, Cruel shuts down Koshka better. He's a better counter into her than into Rhyme. I would have liked to see Rhyme instead. However, it's still going to be an aggressive early game compositions. And if Mouse Sports are able to snowball, they will win. I do expect G2 to be able to hold off, however.
All right, well, it's time to get on into this game. It's time to get online on Twitter as well. Let us know who you are supporting. It's Mouse Sports going up against G2. Hashtag Vainglory8 to let us know who you want to go into the final against SK. Let's pass it back over to Medic and Scoundrel to get into semi-final number 2.
Thank you very much, Munch. I am Medic. I'm joined by Excoundrel, and we are into the second semi-final of the day. And I'm the Doom is a very brave man to play Baron into Hundor here. Hundor, obviously so well known for his Baron and for his Celeste. We saw him play incredibly well on this very hero yesterday, Excoundrel.
Well, we saw him play very well into a Baron. Absolutely decimated a Baron on his Celeste yesterday. So, whilst I think, Baron definitely can spike earlier with the tension bow. Definitely in the late game, it comes down to how well you're placing those heliogenesis, how hard you're making it for Baron to position, to find those jumps, to find his burst in the backline. So, Hundor has shown that he's capable of doing, shown that he's capable of playing like that. And if he can get towards that late game, expect him to know exactly how to play into I'm the Doom. But this is a lot stronger opposition, you would argue, than I think G2 had to face up yesterday. Mousesports right now, probably the strongest that they have been in quite a while, especially with the addition of Leon. So I don't think it will be as easy as yesterday.
Leon on that jungle role once again. We saw him play Roam yesterday actually on the Lance, but comfortable playing the jungle this time. G2 did the front to back start, so they were able to get the Elder Triad, but Leon invading for this back healer camp will actually be able to steal it away as well. Dark Potato struggling a little bit there to get the final secure. Now Justman is not in the best of positions, but with the Vanguard will slow up G2, and it's a good early invade for Mousesports.
Yeah, they get at least something from that invade. A single backsteal is not a bad result at all. Could have gone a lot worse for G2, maybe could have gone a lot better, but you still take a minor advantage where you can get it. Leon is actually going to avoid his backs, maybe rotate from Elder Trion backwards, expecting potentially Dark Potato to head towards that lane or be a bit slower on the rotate. And that's actually very clever from Leon. He's responding to the initial move from G2 and is going to rotate in to out as the way that the G2 lineup started, which is going to guarantee him another advantage with his Elder Trion take.
Trying to run and get that healer as well, but wasn't quite able to get there in time. Dark Potato meets the face check of Leon, trying to trade straight into the Koshka early on. Good quibble there onto Leon as well. He has to use the healing fires. There's a lot of stacks, but the Spectrus might not quite able to kill the cat, and now Justman will be retreating away from Keanu once again. Hundor's doing a good job of pushing out the lane, then rotating back towards this jungle to try and make sure that they have a little bit more safety, but still Leon and Justman able to steal away a couple of those front camps.
Yeah, they were able to read Leon's aggressive move there. Dark Potato was ready for it. He stacked up, and Leon able to escape. He did a really nice job of utilizing vision there, did Leon, and obviously using the movement speed of Koshka to forge his escape out of the jungle. But realistically, G2 are kind of matching Leon's aggression here. You kind of expect, as a Koshka, that you're going to be getting a lot of early aggression off. You're going to be getting huge advantages from that early aggression, but G2 are matching it. They're able to read that aggression from Leon and they're trying to respond to it. And Leon's not done just yet, although sees that forward Treant go down to Dark Potato, realizes he might be a little bit too late, and will just settle with securing another Elder Treant from Mousesports.
Both these teams fighting for those the top spot, the #1 European seed, the only European seed to Worlds. G2 in a good spot for it at the moment, sitting second fiddle to SK. Will be wanting to get to the final and then beat out SK to secure the maximum points from this week. But Mousesports are quite a long way behind, so they really need to be winning these games early on in the split, because otherwise they will just fall out of contention for that #1 seed pretty rapidly, as SK do not look like they are stopping their ascension anytime soon.
Absolutely not. SK looking fantastic, and I think G2 and Mousesports are in a good position to try and combat that. I think they're both two incredibly gifted teams. I think they're obviously only G2 realistically are the team that's in position to try and contend for the world spots, though. So, I think if anybody you want to see G2 really step it up against a team that has found newfound mechanical prowess, newfound potential, I guess you could say, with the addition of Leon. And G2, if they were to win this series convincingly, SK definitely would have something to worry about going into the final today, Medic.
So how do you win this game specifically? If you're G2, are you waiting for later game? Are you waiting to get that Krull and that Celeste to full build so they can just pound down damage with the Helios and get those weakness stacks up, or do you want to do something earlier on in this matchup?
I think realistically, both teams are going to want to sort of wait for late game spikes. When you say win convincingly, a lot of it is coming from just not losing early. Leon, he's working towards his aftershock. He's level 6 very, very soon. No reflex blocks yet up for Hundor, who was one of those key targets for the Yummy Catnip Frenzy. So you know, he could look to start to accelerate post level 6. That's especially where Koshka's power spike comes through, just walks into lane and tries to guarantee herself a kill with the use of that ultimate. But Dark Potato is pretty similar. You know, they both want to make an impact mid to early, especially Cruel. So I think a lot of this is going to come down to late game team fight prowess. You know, how well these teams work as a mechanical late game team fighting machine. Because both of them kind of want to achieve mid game dominance. And if both teams are trying to evenly achieve mid game dominance, you're not going to see either team run away with it unless mistakes are made.
Yeah. Carries on both teams are now at that level 6 marks. Leon's going to jump back in towards Dark Potato, who goes straight onto I'm the Doom. The from Hell's Heart lands, but it actually connects onto Just Man, so he's safe for the time being. There's the Iron Cannon in response. Keanu tried to turn this one back around in favor of G2. Leon's so low. There's the Solar Storm as well, but the Fountain heals them up, and now Dark Potato is in a little bit of trouble as Just Man pushes forward once again. Mouz able to get out of the back of the fight, but not quite as convincing in that battle as they would hope to be.
Yeah, I'm the Doom only sitting on a Sorrow Blade right now. He jumps in. Got that double basic attack, Hundor.
Every time I see that double basic from the heroic perk, it's just like, oh, well, no, from the jump jet, sorry, that's a lot of damage that comes out from the Baron very quickly.
You can see Fortified Health from doing a good job of soaking up some of that damage. Remember, it takes almost double the damage to deal with Fortified Health on a specific carry, so if you can get that onto Hundor, it's going to give him that cushion against that burst damage from the Baron. Maybe Mousesports will look to out-rotate here. I think actually G2 should be able to respond pretty quickly, however, as Hundor makes his way back to lane.
Yeah, Dark Potato's only 7 seconds away from having the From Hell's Heart. It's just about to come back up, and Just Man's actually caught out by this. They're trying to run away. Leon there low as well. Dark Potato holds on to the boomerang, decides not to chuck a surfboard in anyone's face for the time being, but G2 were able to defend, and now can look at putting some pressure back for themselves. The Shatter Glass completed onto Hundor means those double Helios, those Supernovas on the turret will do a lot of work. The stun, the core collapse, the second stun comes out, and that's a kill straight onto the face of Just Man. Good play from G2.
Yeah, now they're going to start the siege of their own. They almost got caught out. I actually almost think that Mousesports might have been able to linger Leon a bit longer there with that movement speed and actually search for that first turret. It was a good move by Mouse to focus their attention in the lane once G2 had gone to the jungle shop and Hundor had backed off, but a great response from G2 nonetheless. Again, like, what I really want to see from teams, and it's something that the European teams don't do as well as North American teams, is just that, you know, focusing on objectives once you picked up a kill there. You know, they didn't push that turret very hard. They didn't try and take a gold miner because they didn't feel confident enough. It's been a very slow-paced game for most teams over the course of this weekend in terms of objectives. There's the
Force to caught onto I'm the Doom is great, but he jump jets back out of it. Leon's down to about half HP. He's so low, trying to keep himself alive, but just can't do it. No Fountain coming out from Just Man either, as that's still on cooldown. I'm the Doom jumping away. Another Helio hits him in the back, but can't quite bring the power of the stars down upon him. And G2 once again get their second kill of the game and can look towards this turret. Tension bow completed by I'm the Doom, but alongside the Sorrow Blade, he needs to be able to get those orders down in fights. They've already lost the first turret, and they are 2,000 gold behind.
Just as I talk about not capitalizing on object, they get the first turret of the game, and also Dark Potato on this crew has already started up this gold miner. He should be able to smite this down with the Supernova. There should be no worries of Mousesports taking this one away from them. Very, very close nonetheless. They might get caught out here as they all back. This is going to be a quick push from Mousesports. They're trying to get that first turret down for themselves, but Dark Potato makes a very quick rotation up and holds the waves. G2 responding so well. Where's the engage?
Jumping from Leon, the knockback as well. There's the Solar Storm. That cat trying to do a lot of work. Leon still dodging around the side of the fight. A good gauntlet as well. Separates out G2 as I'm the Doom. Now needs to be that front man. Just Man is so low and he will fall. And even when Mousesports take the engage they want, they can't get these kills. Leon just not quite enough damage to take down the members of G2. We'll be able to steal away a couple of these camps, but Hundor and Dark Potato are on the prowl to catch out the Predator. Leon trying to dodge his way away, but a great core collapse will get them the kill. And it's 4 kills to nil in favor of G2.
Yeah, but they do trade a turret for chasing Leon there. So actually say that there was a good return on investment for Mousesports. After losing the fight, they actually get a global objective from it, which is going to net them that global gold. I always want to keep your eyes on Hundor and the way that he uses his heliogenesis in fights. One of the great things about heliogenesis is by leaving a heliogenesis on the floor, it always offers a threat of a position in the map where you probably can't walk because of the threat of a supernova. The way that Hundor played that is when Leon jumped past him and used, obviously, his movement speed to try and find a flanking position to threaten Hundor. Hundor closed off the choke point with a heliogenesis and said to Leon, if you want to jump back in on me, so that I can't then focus Justman and I'm the Doom, you have to walk through an area where I could hit you with a massive heliogenesis. And it's something that Hundor does so well. It's just control of spaces of the map. Another engage by Dark Potato.
Stay onto Leon. He's 2 levels ahead, but a great stun with it from Hell's and Leon has to run away. Justman down to half as well. A great force to cord is blocked by I'm the Doom, but you can't block the force of the sun as the Solar Storm gets the kill. G2 5 kills to 0 up now, and Mousesports are reeling at every possible opportunity. Justman goes straight into the face of Keanu, and like company will bring them back to Crystal Sentry joining up this fight as well, but that turret is already going to fall. And G2 get their second of the game. Leon just not able to answer this unrelenting pressure from G2.
It's really interesting because obviously we expected Leon to be aggressive on this pick, and he has been. He's been aggressive enough. He's taken a lot of lane farm. He's invested a lot of resources into his own right, and you can see that in the difference of farm between I'm the Doom and Hundor, by the way, and the difference in farm between Dark Potato and Leon. You might just say, whoa, Leon's massively out-jungled Dark Potato, but Leon's actually zapped so many resources from I'm the Doom specifically. He's pushed the lane when the lane's been there. I'm the Doom is so far behind on farm because Leon has actually been taking that for himself. And if I were Mousesports, I'd be saying, Leon, stop. Like, our win condition now is you're not the win condition anymore. Koshka is not the win condition. This is 11 minutes into the game. You didn't get a big enough early advantage because G2 tempered it so well. As I say that, Leon jumps in.
Yeah, jumps straight in, will get stunned up. Hundor stunned as well, Justman on that front line. I'm the Doom trying to do what he can from the side. Leon having to dodge around. I'm the Doom jumps in onto Hundor, but can't get the kill in time. And eventually he will fall. Leon gets an exchange though. It's actually Justman who secures that kill in the end. It's Dark Potato and Keanu chasing onto Justman. Leon's going to jump back on towards the Krull, but those weakness stacks are smiting down Justman as well. A good force accord on to the Koshka will pull him back. But Leon does have that extra movement speed and can just dodge away at the side of this fight.
And you can see, you know, the way that Leon's playing, he is saying, I can jump in, I can deal the damage to Hundor that is necessary to him, but it just isn't there right now. The fortified health from Keanu is so good at preventing some burst damage going on to Hundor. Dark Potato is also getting weakness stacks down onto the right targets. And as I said previously, I'm the Doom is so far behind. He's almost 40 CS down to Hundor. He's really quite far behind in terms of 3 items compared to Hundor specifically. And we're at the stage in the game now where Baron is your win condition. This guy that is supposed to be a late powerhouse is your win condition now. And I just feel like Mousesports haven't played around that, you know, well enough. I think at this point it's still, I'm playing the Leon train and Leon's going to go mental on this Koshka, but it just hasn't happened. Leon hasn't been aggressive enough and G2 tempered that early aggression really well. And I don't know, this is one of those things where you feel that when Leon's on a team, sometimes teams come to this situation where it's he's the mastermind. You play around him, he's the guy that's going to carry you. Whereas you just notice how well G play as a team. It's not about an individual player for G2. They play to their win conditions far better. And you're just seeing that in this game. Obviously, things can still go wrong for G2, but as of yet, they're still playing like their win condition.
They do have a 5,000 gold lead as well. Dark Potato's finished a Poison Shiv alongside the breaking point, so he's pretty darn devastating on this Krull. Hundor at 3 completed items, almost at 4. He's got the Clockwork, the Eve, and the Shatterglass. Well, I mean, if you include the Aegis, he is at 4. I only look at damage, Excalibur. I don't look at other items. Who cares about defensive stats? It's all about how much damage you have. What do we expect next from him? Are we looking towards a broken myth with that piercing shard?
Yeah, I mean, there isn't anything else that they could go to. So I think yeah,
Hey,
broken myth.
I was setting you up for brilliance again, Excalibur. Sometimes you have to be like, yeah, man.
You're making it so that I am definitely Mr. Captain Obvious of this cast.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's going to be broken myth for Hundor. He's a little bit fit right now. I think the Aegis was a great pickup given how much resource has gone into Leon. So the more you can shut Leon down with your item build, the better it is for you. So I think that was a really clever build from Hundor, prioritizing that over his 4 damage items. I'm the Doom's now got his Tyrant's Monocle. That's not a bad item for him. He needs just 1 more to come online on his full item build. I'm wondering whether he's going to go for the Tornado Trigger just to have the extra attack speed, or he's going to look for the flat burst of just having another Tyrant's Monocle in tow.
Dark Potato is looking for the engage at the moment. It's Justman there on the front line. They're unable to find exactly the avenue they want into this fight. And actually that gold lead is still only 4,000 here for G2. They do have a strong late game, but I'm the Doom is starting to scale up. He's at 3 items himself. Does have that minions, as you say, building up towards whatever critical strike item he wants next. Hundor's just zoning away. You talked about this zoning Helio that you can use just to force Mouz on the back foot. That's exactly what he's doing. Mousesports just trying to find a way up towards the top side of the lane to see if perhaps they can catch out a member of G2. It's a very tense moment for both these two teams, fighting for the right to face SK Gaming in the finals of week 1 of Split 2 here in the VG8.
Now with the Kraken up, it starts to draw teams into teamfight 60 situations. I give credit to Leon where credit is due. He is the master of knowing when to last hit jungle camps.
Yeah, he's really good at securing camps. He is so
like, he's every time he's been involved in a jungle camp duel, he's always come away on top. So credit where credit is due. He's very, very good at that. Keanu's working towards his. Oh, by the way, look at this though, Dark Potato. They're just soloing Kraken, but there is the scout
Mouz don't know this is happening. They've just realized Justman's there trying to steal it away.
Oh my god, what the hell?
Holy hell! Justman with the hero play there for Mouz. Dark Potato forced back as he jumps straight onto the face of Baron. Leon trying to get onto Hundo as well. The Solar Storm won't quite no, he hasn't actually used it. Sorry, it was the core collapse that he used, but that is a Kraken taken away. I'm the Dune has died. Leon trying to dodge away from this as well. And Mousesports have been able to delay this game. Dark Potato picked up 2 kills in this fight. He's looking for Leon as well for that ace. But the Kraken has delayed the game for Mouz and given perhaps a slight glimmer of hope. Still Leon's trying to dodge his way around. The Crystal Sentry helping out. There's the Solar Storm. There's the kill. There's the ace. But with that Kraken, Mousesports are still alive in this game.
Okay. People said that the blood for blood changes for Arden weren't that big of a deal. I beg to differ. The fist of fury from Arden, he literally just walked up and hit the Kraken and stole it. That's got to be the most chilled out way that I've ever seen anybody steal a Kraken.
It's the Mousesports buff, mate. It's not only Leon that can last hit. If you play for Mousesports, you can last hit any jungle camp you want. That's just the buff they get. It's their inherent perk. If you play for G2, you can play Baron really well. That's another rule for them. Each team has this specific bonus.
Okay, I got you. I think realistically, whilst the steal was good, it just delayed the game. Maybe delaying the game is what Mousesports needed, though, to get to that 4th item for I'm the Doom. I mean, you are at the full item build almost for Hondo right now, so he's equally as devastating as the Baron, but it delayed the game, which has been maybe the time that they needed to get Baron towards equal pegging to Hundor. So maybe that is their way back into this game, just by delaying it ever so slightly. But they didn't get much off the Kraken. I mean, they didn't even get a single turret, I don't think, there, Medic. I think they still have that 2nd turret remaining in the lane. So they didn't even get a single turret. So it's actually just a bit of a gold bounty for G2, but they must be frustrated with you.
I think you take it. Like, if you're Mousesports and you can take that Kraken when it would look like you'd just been outplayed because you didn't know what was going on until Justman checked, you take the steal even if you lose out on the gold trade at the end of it. Mousesports have been able to delay just that little bit further. I'm the Doom now has that double Tyrant's monocle, so he will crit absolutely humongous amounts if he can get on towards that backline of Hundor. The problem is he has to get through Dark Potato and Keanu to actually get there. So very much on G2 to make a mistake more than Mouz to make the big outplay at the moment. Look at the damage onto that turret as well. Those Helios, 636 damage from the Supernovas, almost taken out. Do through the shield to take down the turret, and they'll take the Crystal Sentry as well. Mousesports need to find an engage soon, because otherwise you have to think the game is done. There's the Gauntlet jumping in. Leon onto Hundle, gets caught up in the core collapse, and there's the stun coming out from the Yummy Cabinet Frenzy. I'm the Doom trying to get onto Hundle. They've already got the kill, and now it's Dark Potato and Keanu trying to defend 2 members of G2 against 3, and Mouz already the Fins falling. It's only up to Dark Potato, but what a great fight from Mousesports. And I said they needed an engage, and Justman did just that.
What an engage from Justman. Leon followed up on it so well. He's picked up the Eve of Harvest. He's got a very aggressive jungle Koshka build. This is pretty much the standard, but you don't often get there this quickly. You often like to pick up a little bit of defensive itemization. Leon has said, don't need much. Tier 2 shielding is enough. I'm going to go super aggressive with all this gold that I've got and try and put pressure onto Hundor on the backline. And they're going to get the Kraken off the back of his. Doom also picked up that Turret's Monocle, a key item spike that maybe he wouldn't have had the opportunity to pick up if they hadn't stolen that previous Kraken. Maybe Justman has found that magic to get them back into this game. That Kraken steal followed by what you said was an incredible engage to put pressure onto Hundor. G2 must be left reeling as another Kraken goes the way of Mousesports.
G2 do still have the gold advantage. They do still have this 5-item Dark Potato, a 5-item Hundo as well. Almost basically 6 items on him. He's just upgraded those Halcyon charges, so he is at full build on this Celeste. They have the tools they need to win these fights, but all of the momentum, all of the tempo is in favor of Mouz. There's the gauntlet blocked out by the Crucible. Here's the Iron Cannon as well. Leon jumps onto Hundo, gets a second block, and Hundo will be able to get back to base. Here comes the Boomerang from Hell's Heart straight to the base of Just Man, up towards the top side of the fight. The Solar Storm's used as well. Hundo's still trying to defend. Dark Potato and Kiana will get back to the fountain to heal themselves up, but Mouz are not giving up yet with the Kraken pushing in. They're going for these turrets. The first crystal turret will fall. Dark Potato jumps all the way onto Hundo, who has to jump across the wall. It's actually I'm the Doom. I'm so used to seeing Baron as Hundo. It's I'm the Doom jumping away, and now Mouz Sports will try and engage.
What a core collapse!
The core collapse stuns up Leon as he jumped in, and the Kraken is going to be able to get that turret. A great force to call and pulls back Just Man, and 2 members of Mouz look likely to fall in this fight. The Kraken just about died as the turret falls there. Just Man chased away by Dark Potato and Keanu eventually will fall to the Spectral Smite. You have to feel, although with a good Vanguard, he is going to be able to get away for just the time being. Baron's jumped across the wall. I'm the Doom's in the base. I'm the Doom's going for this with the Porcupine. Mortar's trying to take the win. The backs have come out. The Finn is there. But I'm the Doom with the jump jet. With the
He's going to get it. He's going to get it.
And Mouz Sports defeat G2 in a monumental comeback.
I didn't think that Kraken Steel was going to be as influential as it was, but it bought time for Mouz Sports to get I'm the Doom to his full item build. He found the resources necessary, and unbelievable for I'm the Doom to just make that decision on such low HP. It was always on the cards with a Vein Crystal being open like that against a Baron, but I just don't think G2 thought that it was even possible given how much damage they'd done in that team fight. That game should have been G2's, but Mouz Sports made some incredible plays in the final game and deservedly come away with that backdoor victory. That was one of the best games of Vainglory I think I've seen in this year. Unbelievable game, Medic.
What a comeback there from Mouz Sports, and I don't really think you can analyze that, but to give it a try, we're going to hand it back across towards Munch, Irakizo, and Tasty Bacon. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much, guys. We're already here. We're waiting and ready. What a comeback. I'm the Doom going absolutely ballistic there. Single-handedly wins the game on like 200 HP. What a comeback.
At first, I thought he had just made the biggest mistake of the team fight by jumping out of the base and effectively removing himself from the fight. But it ends up being the 4D chess being played by I'm the Doom as he comes back in after the fight is over and ends the game. What an incredible finish.
Incredible indeed. And I was sitting here, I'm like, I'm the Doom, he can do it. Just jump over the wall, do it, go, go. And he ends up going for it and ends up winning the game for his team.
I didn't believe. When I saw him go over the wall on his HP, I didn't think he was going to make it, but he pulls out the ultimate as well. Unbelievable stuff. Let's get into some of these replays and kind of recap what happened, because we need to start with this Kraken steal. This was huge for Mouz.
Absolutely massive. It just, again, they don't get a ton off of this steal, but it delayed the game. That was the key. It just kept them in it a little bit longer. G2 had to go and deal with that Kraken. It takes so long to take down a Kraken now. Once it has been unleashed, it just bought that little bit of extra time that they needed to get themselves back into this game.
And 2 things I got to talk about there. The reason why it's actually a lot easier to steal a Kraken now is because it is squishier when it's being captured. So little damage like that like the one that comes from Baron's Blood for Blood can still steal the Kraken with a lot better chances now in 2.9. On top of that, delaying the game for a little bit more allowed Baron to get his second monocle, and that was the turning point.
Yeah, and then once you get those jump jets into the double shot, you can just obliterate health bars. Let's take a look at an ace that Mouz managed to get at 18 minutes, and this was kind of an unbelievable fight, honestly.
Yeah, and this was one where it was just Mouz got the upper hand. They were able to catch G2 off guard a bit. Leon blocking the core collapse and getting the big stun onto Hundor, and immediately followed up with the jump jets to get that double shot over. I'm the Doom gets himself away from Dark Potato, so he's no longer able to really be, get those weakness stacks built up on him. It was just a really well-played team fight by Mouz, and of course, the Sentry always being there, helping out throughout the entire duration of it as well.
I'm the Doom. I said during the draft that we might see him play the lane just because this team is being very flexible right now. Leon played 3 different roles in the 3 different games that he has played with Mousesports so far. Not only that,
So this game, he's going to be subbed out, right? That's how this works.
You got to do all 4.
but that replay and that team fight, the reason why they won it was actually the very smart target focus coming from Doom on that Baron. He ignored everyone after he used his jump jets and went onto Celeste to finish her. You have to kill Celeste against that composition that G2 had, and Doom made the right choice.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right about their flexibility. Their opponents have to deal with it. Our stats guys are also pulling their hair out trying to deal with this team swapping roles. Let's take a look at the sequence of events that led to this victory in the end, because this is a pretty long clip because there was so much that happened.
Yeah, and first of all, Leon not really taking much damage despite Dark Potato being on him for some time. But coming up is where it looked like Doom made a big mistake. He jump jets out of the base. He's no longer involved in this fight.
Watch
and
that
it's now
core
a
collapse.
3-on-2. A beautiful core collapse from Hundor as Leon tries to jump in onto the turret. And again, it looks like, okay, they've staved this off. They've saved the game. Beautiful hook comes through. Like, this is such good plays from both sides. And again, you feel like they just saved the game. Doom can't be involved. The Solar Storm being used there by Hundor ends up being crucial, because now when they do finally see Doom come over the wall, the Solar Storm is not available. If he throws a Solar Storm back right now,
my
that
God.
kills Doom, and he does not end the game. So it's so crazy that he was willing to make this call.
My favorite part there as well is you saw him jump jetting away while he was already past the wall and starting a recall. Like, he was that close to going back to base and just canceling the play. That could have lost them the game if he
And the reason that made him decide to choose to go for the backdoor instead of going back home was the fact that G2 chased too far away from their base, that they couldn't have turned around and killed him. Very, very smart choice from Doom.
Yeah, unbelievably risky plays coming out, but it nets them a game up in an incredibly important series as well. Let's remember, these are 2 of the teams that are fighting to try and catch up to SK Gaming. If you want to close that gap, you need to get these bonus 2 points by getting into the finals against SK. And also, you're going to want that shot at beating them in the finals as well. You're going to want to set up those tiebreakers for potential ties that happen later in the season, if that comes to pass. Let's start to talk about the next game in this series, gentlemen. What are we expected to see here? Because, you know, the Baron, incredibly influential, despite not that great of a scoreline. Hundor did a great job on the Celeste. We've now got a Kestrel locked in.
Yeah, Kestrel going to be coming through. It's tough to really say what's going to be focused because we don't know who's playing what on Mousesports. You know, I knew once the Koshka pick came through, had a feeling that it was going to be going over to Leon just because Doom that's not really a pick he plays that much. But with the Kestrel pick now, you assume it's going to be Doom in the jungle with it, but there is always that option that it ends up going up into the lane instead.
Arden, once again, very early priority coming out here. That's been a staple pick on 2.9 so far. What are you expected to see out of these bans, Ori?
I mean, what's still very strong that's available is the Blackfeather, the Lyra. I was about just to say, a lot of teams have been prioritizing her just because she brings so much sustain, and that is so drastic in 2.9. The Kestrel goes through for Mousesports. That's a pick that can go to Doom and the jungle SCP, but can also go to lane as weapon power, so it's very flexible.
Expect a Blackfeather ban here, but if they don't ban it away, you have to wonder, is it something that G2 is going to be willing to pick up? We've seen Dark Potato play it in the past. I don't think we've seen Hundor really run it, though. So it would be interesting how they decide to make that one work out, if it does even come through. It's a lot of thought being put into this for Mousesports, because while, yes, Blackfeather is a very strong prioritized pick, the Baron was something that you have to worry about, and so they just take that off the board. And G2, they are not interested in the Blackfeather, at least not yet.
Yeah, and you can see that G2 were predicting that ban as well, because instant lock-in on the Vox. If Baron was available, I'm sure they would have gone for it, but they already know that that's just not going to be on the cards.
Blackfeather is still open for them. The good thing for G2 is that Vox is actually a good pick into the Blackfeather, just because you can kite him fairly well, especially if you get a poison shift. You can reduce his barriers coming from on the point and the sustain that he would be having with the Serpent's Mask. Lance is a great pick for Mousesports, just because Justman is such an incredible Lance player.
He certainly is. He's going to be going up against the Arden out of Keanu Nakoa. Although we could still see that Lance go into the jungle. It's something we see more and more in EU specifically, so that is always a potential, but no flexibility in the pick because it is this double pick right here. They have to round out that composition immediately.
Yeah, I mean, you could still get a little bit of flexibility if you pick someone that could also be flexed into a carry or a captain role, like an
Jewel
Adagio,
captain.
but it is going to be a Jewel, so pretty much everyone knows where these picks are going now, and there's going to be that Black Feather coming through for G2. A little surprising that it gets all the way through to the last pick of the draft, but it's still a pick that everyone is very, very comfortable with right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's CP in the jungle too, so there's a lot of sieging potential once he gets to his level 8. The Jewel, that's a very surprising pick that we haven't seen yet for Mouz Sports, especially this update. A lot of pressure comes with it.
And once again, we see this new version of G2 where they're willing to have multiple threats on the team instead of it just being on the shoulders of Hundor to actually win the game.
Yeah, I do think that with the Black Feather, that's exactly what's happening, because Dark Potato can play a little bit more aggressive, can play a carry role in this composition.
It certainly can. How are we expecting this early game to pan out then? Who's going to be the ones on the front foot?
I mean, the Black Feather is going to need to farm up a little bit. He's going to need to get to a point where he can, have that impact that we've seen Black Feather be able to have so many times. And so I feel like it's going to be on Mouz Sports to try and be a little bit more aggressive with this Kestrel pick.
Yeah, I mean, the Kestrel pick is all going to be what is the priority going to be for Mouz Sports around it. Doom is an incredible Kestrel player, and he can create so many different opportunities. He can pressure the jungle, pressure the lane, all sorts of things.
Absolutely. Well, it's time to get on into this second game of this semi-final. I'm hoping it can live up to game 1. That's going to be a tall task, though, with the way that Mouz managed to take that one. It's 1-0 to Mouz right now, but they're not going to go down without a fight. G2 are wanting to come back. Hashtag Vainglory8 on Twitter. Let us know who you are behind for this one. But it's time to get onto the Halcyon Fold and kick off game 2 of semi-final number 2. Pass it over to Medic and Scoundrel.
Thank you very much, Munch. We are here onto the Halcyon Fold once again. It is game 2 between Mouz Sports and G2, as they said, as they so aptly put it. We are looking to see if Mouz Sports can actually close this one out and take their position in the finals up against SK. And if they do, it's a big arrow to the knee of G2's world's hopes here at Scoundrel.
Absolutely. I think G2 need to be in the position where they're going to have to win this week to put a real test to SK, who, they are flying through. If they win this week and then they win against G2 next week, I think they basically guarantee their world spot. So it's definitely a tough call for G2, and they need to be prepared to have to fight back in this series and then beat the reigning top points leader of the European VG8, which is that SK Gaming. However, I was expecting maybe Leon to get onto the Lance here, because we know that he likes to play Lance. It's a pick that's very, very good for him. But he will be on the Duel this time round, and we're going to see Just Man on this Lance. I'm the Doom in the jungle, and Leon in the lane. So more intra sort of lane position rotation for Mouz.
I'm going to see a 3v3 to start us off as well. Dark Potato taking a bit of damage. There's the jump in from Leon, looking for the Thunder Strike. The Impale misses as well, just can't hit a skill shot for love nor money. But Hundor gets damaged by those glimmers, has to use the Healing Flask and the Sonic Zoom to get himself away. The continued chase here for Mouz might be a little bit of an overextension, as Dark Potato can put them on point and say, well, you have to play in our jungle now. Keanu jumps back. Mouz Sports unable to get much more out of this trade. Justman is incredibly low. Might even think about using a Healing Flask of his own if Dark Potato and Keanu decide to continue this chase.
Looks like they're going to start to move this one back. I think Mouz will be going for this central Treant. That will be their ideal target. Justman
so low. He's going to get taken out straight away. Dark Potato there. The Healing Flask too little too late. And I'm the Doom now caught out as well. And this is not good for Mouz Sports. G2 take 2 kills only 2 minutes in.
Yeah, very good start for G2, though, if you're looking to make a comeback in this series. Actually, G2 did a very clever jungle rotation. Obviously, we've seen a lot of teams prioritize going for Elder Treant first. It looked like G2 went for a standard start, but it meant that on the back of that Invaders, they moved back and kited back with the on point, and obviously with the Vox, who's a very good kiter in his own right. It meant that actually Mouz couldn't get a huge amount from that jungle invade. They couldn't get the back camps because they hadn't spawned, and that allowed then G to recuperate and follow Mouz after taking a huge amount of poke damage from that on point, and for Hundor kiting backwards. And then they were able to capitalize by going for that Elder Treant once Mouz were already low enough to contend with. So it's actually a pretty smart move by G2. Maybe unintentionally, but it worked out really well for them.
Once again, it is going to be the CP Black Feather. We saw Cavalify have a great effect with that earlier on. Black Feather has a 100% win rate across the course of today here in EU, across the course of update 2.9 in EU as well. Wasn't even played yesterday, was banned out in every single game. So seems to be a power pick if you can get it in draft. Was left for the last pick here. Mouz Sports not respecting the fact that G2 could take it, instead saying, okay, we'll take the Lance, we'll take the Jewel, we'll take the Kestrel, and we can fight up into your Black Feather if you do decide to pick it.
One thing that you will have that won't be the same as the way that SK won with the CP Black Feather is that you do actually have someone that can combat that range of the on-point post-level 8. You do have I'm the Doom on this CP Kestrel, who with that splash damage from the Glimmer shots, where the majority of the crystal damage comes from, will be able to react and also retaliate some of that damage that Dark Potato will be looking to put out. Obviously, as a CP Kestrel, it's really nice to snowball the jungle, but Dark Potato hasn't given him much of an opportunity here. Justman tried to set up, but unfortunately, I'm the Doom was not in the position to do so. And Kestrel will just have to be content with farming her jungle and then trying to find these rotations into lane.
Mouz still put slightly behind by that 2-kill advantage and a bit of farm advantage as well for G2. It's about 1,000 gold the difference between the two teams at the moment, but Mouz have shown us that they can come back from much greater margins in game 1. I'm sure they'll be hoping for a bit stronger of a start, though. They need to be able to get a bit of an advantage against G2, because otherwise, even if they win this series, they have no hope up against a team like SK Gaming in the finals.
Yeah, it's. I think we're putting SK on a massive pedestal. They definitely make mistakes. I mean, they dropped their first game.
Yeah, but they win all the time. Like, you can make mistakes and still win the game.
Absolutely, but I think a lot of these teams have had almost a second wind in terms of their own performances. Mouz with that rotation in their sort of their roster swaps, and I think G2 have been playing better than they have been in the previous weeks as well. So, you know, I think realistically looking at them, most of these teams you would say are moderately even matched up against their SK. I still think it'll be a very tough, I guess, game for them or series for them to actually take the week away from SK Gaming, but both of these teams have showed incredible promise, and especially in terms of early jungle, especially when Leon's playing the jungle. The early jungle is very, very strong from him, and then his ability to carry as a jungler is probably one of the best in the league right now. And then some of these late game team fight and decision makings from these teams, especially Mouz and the Doom with that decision making last game. You know, like they've shown what it takes to really play at that top level and make those important decisions when it matters. So I think SK will be studying this semi-final intently. They have the opportunity to do so. They'll be looking for patterns and seeing where they can exploit, but both of these teams are looking pretty solid.
With 5 minutes in, we're starting to see that first rotation of items for both the teams as well. I'm the Doom, probably going to go towards the Shatterglass on this Kestrel, although there's a myriad of ways he can go. Solar Blade completed on towards Leon. Dark Potato has a Shatterglass of his own, and Hundor went Poison Shiv to start his build off, so looking for that mortar wounds as much as possible. G2 do have some pressure on this turret in the mid, and Leon will come and try and alleviate some of that for Mouse Sports.
Justman goes in, only lands the Impale onto the Ardent, but finds Dark Potato with a Githyanki wall. Actually takes a huge amount of punishment for it, and that's one of the drawbacks of Lance. You know, if you're going to make those kind of Impales, there always has to be a game plan for following up. Doesn't look like Mouse Sports are on that same game plan from the Impales from Justman right now, and he just took a brunt of damage for just essentially what was landing an Impale for naught. No one was able to follow up on it. As Dark Potato nearly level 8 now, just one more level to go before he hits that major spike for the CP Black Feather. Very much like the Celeste, that level 8 is a very important point for him. And then he'll get that accelerated on point, allowing him to scope out I'm the Doom. That'll be one of the major advantages of having that extended range and having the Shatterglass. I'm the Doom probably isn't going to build shielding. So if Dark Potato can hit some of these on points onto, you know, I'm the Doom on this CP Kestrel, he's going to hit very hard.
Sports once again just a little bit on the back foot to start off this game. Leon especially having to jump away there, realizes that he cannot trade into both Keanu and Hundor. Actually missed the Thunder Strike as well, so not in the best of positions in the lane. I always find it odd calling it Thunder Strike when it's a big icy sort of strike. It feels like you should be called something else because it's not made of thunder then, is it? It's sort of more the icicle barrage, the icicle line, the fissure.
Yeah.
Glacial Fissure is what we should call it. It's the big red button being used by Leon to clear out the wave as well. G2 is just trying to poke in from the side, poke and prod with that level 8 on Dark Potato. As you say, the on point does a lot more work now. And once again, G2 just stealing away some of these camps.
Okay, now level 8 on Dark Potato, like you said, you know, we're at a point where he's a lot of damage. Actually, interestingly, Rose offensives, doesn't land the basic attack and can't then find that execute onto Leon, who manages to escape here. But maybe the only effect that Dark Potato wanted to get was pushing this lane up. They're going to get Hundor come in now as well, try and shove onto this first turret and try and search for the siege, which is going to be pretty strong given that there's only Justman to defend it right now.
Doesn't land the impale through the turret either. Hundle takes a glimmer to the face. A good Githyan Wall knocks him back, but eventually the turret will fall, and Mouse Sports very much losing out this early game to G2, who've looked very strong in both the games we've seen them play today, and looked pretty good yesterday as well. So they'll be pretty comfortable with the position they're in, starting to get towards those second items as well. Here comes Dark Potato from the side. Good on point. We'll get him that shield as well, or the fortified health, which is so strong on the Black Feather as you try and jump in and out with that Rose offensive.
Hundor going for a very classic Vox build, Poison Shiv into Sorrow Blade, and then we'll decide whether he goes towards a breaking point and 2 defensive items, or you can actually pick up a double Tyrant's Monocle as well, which generally tends to be the go-to for a lot of Voxes right now. The breaking point double Tyrant's Monocle build is back because of Critical Strike in general has got better due to the reduction in armor for most heroes overall. So it's a very old school Vox build, but with the Sorrow Blade and the Poison Shiv, it's unlikely that he'll move to that because you often don't include the Sorrow Blade in that build. So I'm actually just going to restart that sentence totally and say it's more likely that he'll go towards a very, very 2.8 Vox build, which is adding that breaking point to the end of this, a very sustain heavy build, and then just look to play from range with Dark Potatoes on point.
Good point, Xcandal. After the first 15 seconds or so of that point 8 bid, he came into his own. There's the gauntlet coming in as well as G2 looks for the engage. The knockback, the fountain used by Mouse. Leon's fighting up towards the top side, but already we see Dark Potato pick up a kill, and now Leon is caught out. He's going to fall as well. 2 kills over to G2, and they look absolutely devastating in this game.
And Hundor with a really nice sidestep of a Thunderstrike from Leon just allows him to move around. Again, Vox, a super mobile, kite-heavy carry, able to make these kind of plays. And if you're able to just dance around at very close range to Leon, it makes the angles that much harder to hit on your Thunderstrike. And Hundor knew that and just really played Leon very well there. They aren't going to get the steal. Keanu manages to body block that one out. Hundor, or I'm the Doom, has had a couple of good steals this weekend on CP Kestrel. And actually Dark Potato as well, able to get through active camo traps with that Rose offensive. He knows that there is little to no shielding being built on I'm the Doom right now, so if he can land a couple of those on points, he can look for a very easy execute on this CP Kestrel. And obviously then your split is Just Man. Do you heal for the CP Kestrel, or do you try and go in with Leon to be aggressive to lock down Hundor? And it felt like Just Man was caught between those two decisions in that last fight.
Yeah, and that's always the difficulty when you have these divers going onto your backline. How can you frontline for them? How can you protect them? Especially against someone who's so slippery like a Black Feather. That's one of the reasons he's so strong, is his ability to jump in and out of a fight. The gauntlet there from Keanu. Yeah, done right, you back in the middle of that. That was diabolical. The impale comes out, big red button as well. The knockback, there's the fountain eventually. And actually we'll see Just Man having to retreat from the side of this fight. Does still have the fountain of his own, so they have fountain efficiency. They have the fountain advantage if they can catch out G2 once again. The impale doesn't quite connect from Just Man, but he's not done. It's time for rolling across that wall. As Mouse Sports push forward towards Hundor. So much damage down onto Leon, and the fountain is eventually used. Here comes Hundor once again. Just Man looking for the Atlas, but Mouse just have to go all the way back behind their turret to try and defend.
Yeah, Dark Potato trying to siege. Oh, what a great hit onto Leon. Leon forced heavily back. The Dark Potato tries to go for the execute.
Good start with the Githyan Wall. The turret is eventually going to go down. That's all really G2 needed there. They're 4,000 gold ahead. They're in such a strong position that if they get the kills, yeah, that's all great, but all they really need are these objectives, and then they can take away Crystal Sentries, they can take away Healer Treants, they can take away Gold Miners, and it just really shuts any possibility of Mouse Sports getting back into this game.
The rotations around the global objectives have been really strong from G2. You know, they've been focusing on sieging. CP Blackfeather excels at sieging because he's got such a low cooldown on that on point, able to use it pretty much every 3 to 4 seconds. Heavy damage output as well against little to no shielding, because both Leon and I'm the Doom are very unlikely to prioritize shielding in their build, simply because they rely so heavily on accelerating their aggressive item build paths. You want to get towards 4 weapon power items for Leon super quickly. I'm the Doom does not want to build shielding instead of CPs, so you know, Dark Potato's going to get maximum efficiency out of his on points by just landing them consistently on those 2 carries who just aren't going to have a huge amount of shielding. Obviously, Leon with his heroic perk is going to have a bit beefier, be a bit beefier than your average carry. But if he turns his back for a second, those on points are going to hit like crazy.
One shot, one kill will hit the face of Hundor. There's actually a really nice scout trap there that's spotting out I'm the Doom and Leon on their back timer. So should be a quick goldmine start for G2 if they want it. They know that both the carries are backed away, and Justman is going to realize that he'll come across towards this, but I think it's going to be too little too late. He hasn't got blood for blood this time. He can't get the miracle steal off, and we'll have to sacrifice the gold miner to G2. Puts him about 6,000 gold ahead, and I think the only comeback here for Mouz Sports is another Miracle Kraken steal, you know? That's all they need to win this game, and you can just rely on Justman to do that for them later on.
Are you making the call right now? Are you saying like
that's
Kraken
exactly
steal
what's
is
going
the
to happen.
Okay, I mean, if you told us you were Prophet Medic yesterday, I'll have to see whether that's going to be the case. But it's funny because you feel like G2 has just played the games better for the most part. 75% to 80% of the game in terms of time was played better by G2 overall last game. They made a couple of mistakes and they were a little bit let things a little bit slip in the late game of the previous game, and that's where Mouz found a miracle 3 minutes where they found their way back in so heavily. But for the most part, you felt like G2 were destined to win. The Mouz Sports, it feels like they are a very good team at stalling and stalling and stalling, and then finding those miracle late game team fights where mechanics are kind of override. They're going to engage.
And they are looking for a full-on team fight here as the jump comes in straight onto Leon. He's so low, a good gauntlet, but he's stunned out of it. It's a superb stun. The on-point still connects. The second gauntlet comes out with the echo, and they're going to chase onto I'm the Doom, who just can't get away. Another kill going across towards G2. Justman's going to get chased out by Dark Potato, who even dodges out the Githian wall for good measure. This should be an ace for G2, and they will look to start taking that base as well.
Yeah, Kraken's going to spawn in 40 seconds. They're not going to have enough time to be able to secure that, but they are going to open up the base here, meaning that they can set up for a Kraken play off the back of the very beefy Kraken, which should go down pretty easily to a Jewel and a Kestrel, but regardless, that might be their ability to then siege with that, utilize that CP Blackfeather and push in, who, by the way, is 5-0-1. It's only a 7-kill game. Doesn't feel like it, given how far G2 has accelerated their lead, but it's all been through strict control of those global objectives and taking the advantages where they can get them. There's the breaking point for Hundor, a classic 3-item build Vox, looking for heavy defensive investment to deal with the burst damage from Leon and I'm the Doom, and just plays off the back of elongated fights from Dark Potato, slowing everybody down with those on points, and building those breaking point stacks, because very little armor is going to be picked up by either I'm the Doom or Leon, and it just makes his build sufficient for damage.
It's alright though, Mouz Sports win condition has just come online. The Kraken has spawned onto the Halcyon Fold, so just wait a little bit and G2 will start that one up. In fact, I think Dark Potato could probably solo that out now if he wanted to. It's got the Broken Myth, it's got the Shadow Glass as well. We'll have to see how G2 decide to set this one up. They're just going to go straight for the Kraken. Justman is waiting in the wings. Pots down a flare. We'll know this is going on now, and Hundor and Keanu are going to try and chase him off. Leon and I'm the Doom are on their way down towards this Kraken, up to about 3rd HP, down to about half now as well. The Hundor engages. Justman goes in, the Githian War into the Impel. There's the Gauntlet as well. Not quite going to get the damage through the big red button, and now we'll see the engage from Dark Potato. A good second Gauntlet there catches I'm the Doom off towards the side. Leon's low, the Kraken low as well. The hero kill. There's the Impel, the double, the one shot, one kill is not going to be enough. And now it's all up to I'm the Doom to try and sneak in and get this steal. Perhaps he'll look for Dark Potato. He's trying to dodge around the side, but the Kraken goes to G2, and they are still unkilled and still unkillable in this game as they take down the Kraken in a 9-0 lead.
Just previously, you saw the replay of the last fight, and in this fight was also reflected the echo on those gauntlets. Keanu has locked up I'm the Doom in so many gauntlets. It's unbelievable. First gauntlet locks I'm the Doom up. Second gauntlet locks I'm the Doom up. Doesn't get any chance during that stun period to even land those glimmer shots, and then because he forces himself outside of the gauntlet to make sure that he's not caught in there, he also can't get past that barrier to find an angle to even land glimmer shots in these fights. And the Doom has had a very low impact game on one of his best picks. You know, we talked about how well known the Doom is for his CP Kestrel. He just hasn't had the opportunity to get into this game and show his stuff. Kraken is going to start to push down. Lots of scout traps to work through here for G2, and they're going to clear them out, but Kraken has already taken a 1/3 of its HP. Here comes the siege start.
Yeah, Kraken already takes that first turret, as you say, the Bane Crystal in the eyes of G2. There comes the Gauntlet. Leon off towards the side already. Keanu's so low, but there is the kill straight onto Leon. Hundor's doing a huge amount of work in these fights. I'm the Doom walks back, one shot, one kill. He's not living up to his name, and G2 will round out a quick second game and equalize the series at 1-1.
Really well played by G2. Dark Potato again, post level 8. You know, two carries that just aren't going to build shielding in their kit effectively as they want to accelerate their weapon power and crystal power item build paths. It meant that Dark Potato was hitting consistently heavy hitting on points, and he was able to capitalize so well. Keanu played an excellent Arden game. The gauntlets were super impactful in closing the game out. And because, again, no defensive itemization is really considered for I'm the Doom and Leon, Hundor could go a very safe Vox build where he was able to easily build breaking point stacks due to the lower armor overall on 2.9, and they were able to close out like that.
Perfect game there for G2. No kills, no objectives given up, and we'll see how the analysts think they did. So we had it over to Munch and the guys.
I thought they did a pretty good job. Honestly, G2 kind of running away with that one. It feels like they were maybe angry about the fact that Mouz stole game one off of them in the end and come back with a vengeance. Phenomenal performance coming out from them. Once again, we see Blackfeather just absolutely showing up in this series. I mean, guys, break it down for me. What's the overall thought coming into game number 3?
Maybe Blackfeather should be banned, is my overall thought. Blackfeather is so strong, and it doesn't matter. Like we said, weapon or crystal. It is just a dominant force right now because you can build compositions around him regardless of how you feel like you want to build it. You can find a way to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, it truly worked for G2, especially because they were able to secure a lot of camps when they invaded the side of Mousesports, and they were able to get ahead off of that, especially in levels taken over the enemy objectives, the camps that is, blast hitting them, that's Blackfeather CP's biggest strength.
It certainly is. And we saw them really abusing their early game strength right off the start of the bat. They got a couple of kills right before the 2-minute mark, so very early on in the game. And this is something we were criticizing CP Blackfeather for.
Yeah, and this is something that I'm glad we're seeing this replay because Mousesports, they had the right idea of trying to be very aggressive against the Crystal Blackfeather, but they went too far on it. They were able to push them out of the jungle on that initial invade, but then they went all the way into almost up underneath the G2 turrets. And all of a sudden now they're trying to retreat out of the jungle because they didn't get anything off of that invade. They didn't steal any camps away or anything like that. And now they're at half health. And G2 was able to get back to base, heal up, and now come re-engage them down by the Treant. And it ended up going heavily in G2's favor. If Mousesports just backed off when they had first gotten the members of G2 low, instead of trying to chase those kills, they could have taken that Ancient Treant. They could have then just cleared out their jungle safely and been in a good rotation timing to go and invade on the second try.
They certainly could have. Our next replay is around the 9-minute mark where we saw G2 continue to pressure that advantage that they managed to build up and continue to find these skirmishes that went in their favor. Zoro, do you want to talk me through this one once it comes up on our screens of this skirmish? It was just before the 10-minute mark, I believe.
Of course, and in this team fight, we're going to see exactly why Mousesports were losing generally in this team in this game. They were very split. You can see here, Kestrel is going to end up alone with Blackfeather, and that's something that she can't do. Blackfeather will definitely win that 1v1, while Jewel was trying to chase Vox, who is such a mobile carry that can dance around her Thunder Strikes coming out as a skill shot. So it's a matter of Mousesports forgetting what they need to do in the team fight, sticking together and using the poke advantage that they had also with the Kestrel before the team fight started. They didn't do that.
Absolutely. And then we have another team fight that came through around the 14-minute mark. And this one, the other fights from G2, they didn't quite manage to finish off the enemy team. This one, they absolutely did.
Yeah, this was one where they just got the decisive moves, dodging out the Impale. You can see they're just focusing on this Jewel because Kestrel, she's too far away to really have a massive impact. A beautiful gauntlet from Keanu stuns up the Kestrel as well, and then Dark Potato is able to finish that one off. The sentry isn't a concern for them. They take the sentry down, and then it's just man. Usually Lance is exceptionally good at being able to prevent an ace, but not against someone like Blackfeather. It's kind of the two most mobile characters that can jump over the walls constantly in the game. You're not going to get away from a Blackfeather.
Yes, you're never going to be able to escape a Blackfeather. Let's take a look at the end of the game as well, as G2 managed to finish this one off cleanly. No crazy tricks coming out from Mouz.
This time, no. This time G2 managed to close out the game, like you said, Menchables, cleanly. They didn't make any mistakes. The thing that got them so far ahead was actually a double infusion that they picked up around level 9, and that got them so many objectives. And it was just a really great utilization of the power spikes that they had with their composition. The only difference, unlike last game, they didn't throw that lead once they gained it. They played it slow, they took Kraken eventually, and they closed out the game after that push. So it's much better play from G2 being able to close out the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to say, so far, I'm really not impressed by the dual pick on 2.9. We've seen it. TSM played it yesterday. We've just seen it here from Mouz. It's not really been so successful. I'm curious to see if teams continue to pick that up. What are we expecting to see coming into game number 3 of this one? Because we've got one apiece now on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I mean, Blackfeather, Baron, both going to be heavily prioritized. You got to imagine the Arden has been heavily focused as well, so figure that's going to be coming out very early in this draft too. It's a lot of priority picks for these two teams to be focusing on.
And I mean, we can't forget about the regular priority picks, the Rhymes and the Cruels. So if all the bans are going to switch now to the meta development in the series, those are going to be left open and can be picked up.
Well, Vox going to be banned away by G2 Esports, sorry. Making sure to take that one off the table, and then Krull will be removed, which does open up a Rhyme first pick for G2 if they do want to go in that kind of direction. Yeah,
the Rhyme, they could go for the Arden, although it's more Mouse Sports that was putting the heavy emphasis on the Arden, so G2, they're going to say, Blackfeather's been a little bit influential, we're going to make sure to lock that down for ourselves.
And so far, Arden has been picked up twice on B-side. In this first pick here coming through for them, it's going to be a different prioritization. They go back to the Rhyme, especially since they banned the Cruel. This is a great pick. However, they are going up against the Blackfeather, who we keep mentioning is it can work against the Rhyme because it can last hit over it when Rhyme is invading the Blackfeather.
And that's going to be interesting to see if this does end up being the Blackfeather going into the jungle, or if they move it up into the lane and try and pick something that can be even more effective against a Rhyme. I would expect Kestrel to also be pretty heavily focused in this draft, because Kestrel is very strong against Rhyme, able to keep him at bay and keep herself out of range of his Winter Spires.
The next set of priority picks are going to be Lyra and Baron. So if these picks don't get banned, you can expect them to be picked up, especially since Grace is now banned from the side of Grace. It doesn't really, or from the side of Mass Sports, it doesn't make a ton of sense. But if they're trying to go for the Lyra, removing the other sustained captain is a good strategy, but G2 answers.
And it makes sense for G2 to ban away the Lyra, because we know they're okay with giving a Baron over to their opponents. They would have been fine going for a Celeste, even though they lost against it. It was a game that they should have won, so they wouldn't have minded if Mouse Sports had gone for the Baron. Instead, it is going to be that Arden, and so now G2 need to decide, do they want the Baron themselves? It can be a difficult pick into the Rhyme because of the fortified health, though.
Honestly, one thing I don't think we've mentioned about this Grace ban as well is you're taking it away from G2 alongside a Blackfeather. Grace and Blackfeather can be such a devastating combo because you have that support no matter how deep into the fight he goes.
Indeed. I mean, at this point, the options for G2 as captain heroes are Lance, Finn, and Chern Walker. I'm really hoping to see it just because I want to see how it works out in Europe. They did pick
Catherine.
up Finn in the first game, however, with Celeste. Oh, Catherine, indeed.
There we go, Catherine and Baron. Very strong composition coming out from G2 here, it has to be said. But Mouse Sports, they're looking pretty good right now as well. We'll see how they want to finish this one out. Obviously, Vox taken off the table. Kestrel would be available, though.
Yeah, Kestrel's available, but they're going to go for an Idris. This is so risky. A weapon Idris, most likely, into a Catherine is a death sentence.
I love weapon power Idris into Baron. You can capitalize.
Into Baron, it's great. Into Catherine, it's terrible.
I mean, all you need to do is pick up one reflex block, and that's all the CC she can throw at you. It's just one stun. And the reason why Idris is good into Baron is because you get a power spike before him with your first Sora Blade. You can use your Chakram to try and bully him, and then you can also close the gap very easily and stick onto him when you use your ultimate. When he jumps away, watch out for that. When Baron is going to use his jump jet, Idris is going to try to use his ultimate to stick to him and then finish the kill afterwards.
All right, so make sure that you're getting the effectiveness from his jump jet as well. I'm excited to see that matchup in the lane. I'm also curious to see who that matchup is going to be between. Whether it is Leon that goes on that Idris, we'll have to see. How are we expecting this early game to go out very quickly, guys?
The early game is going to be very explosive and very aggressive for both teams.
All right, we'll see if that's going to be the case. It's time to get on into this game. Hashtag Vainglory8. Let us know who is going to take this last game of the semi-final. And get in touch on Twitter. But it's time to pass it to our casters. Once again, it's Scoundrel and Medic.
And every time he puts your name first, Scoundrel, I feel slightly let down by Munch. He and I, we share the first letter of our names. You know, Medic, Munch, it could be a great duo, but no, he's all like, oh, it's Scoundrel and Medic. It's Scoundrel and whoever else. I think you know, he actually has a secret crush on you, man.
I don't think it's secret.
Okay. Has he taken the old position of Sona? Used to be the Sona scoundrel. Anyway, let's get on into the game because it's G2 versus Mouz, and it's the final game of this best of 3, fighting for a position against SK Gaming in the finals. And Tasty Bacon tells me it's going to be explosive, and it looks like just that as the Elder Treant goes over to Mouz to start us off.
Yeah, and you can see G2 in no position to want to fight this early Elder Treant. You know, against the Rhyme early on, it's very difficult to fight him, especially when you've got no level 2 spike for Dark Potato. You really want that execute if you're ever looking for Jewel as a Blackfeather, and Hundor as well. Not exactly known for early game prowess on this Baron. So they very, I think, aptly avoid the fight there at the Elder Treant, and Mouz also don't try to look for it either. They know that the G2 are very wary and are just going to back off. So this is going to be an interesting game because as the sort of desk was discussing, Leon is on Weapon Power Blackfeather. Now, obviously, we were assuming it's Weapon Power Blackfeather. It could still be CP Blackfeather, and we have seen some double CP compositions run. But it's bad into Catherine specifically because it's very easy to lock him down with the stun, but it's very good into Baron because obviously he likes to reposition with that jump jet, so you can just stick to him with your ultimate and finish the job afterwards. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this plays out as I'm the Doom secures another Elder Treant in mid here.
Keanu, however, gets a stack on his heroic perk, so he'll be very happy with that as well. Hunter and Leon trading in the lane, as you say, is a weapon power Idris, it appears. Has started off with that Book of Eulogies, so a little bit more sustain into lane, but Hundor has his classic Baron in the lane, and you got Dark Potato on the CP Blackfeather, something we've yet to see lose throughout this week. So it seems to me like G2 got all of the power picks that they were expecting, and Mouz have tried to answer that with this weapon power Idris.
Yeah, for me, it feels quite clunky, this Mouz composition. Like, I think you're going to need to engage with Just Man. You're going to engage with the Gauntlet. Leon has to be then immediately ready to follow up on that engage by sticking to Hundor, because Hundor is going to overdrive his jump jets. He's going to look to get out of the Gauntlet as quickly as he physically can, and then Leon's going to want to stick to him and then deal damage afterwards. That's a big amount of damage onto Leon.
Yeah, Leon has to run away from that. Does manage to get himself to safety in the end, but Dark Potato already putting the damage down. And Mouz Sports need to be wary of this G2 combo because they have a lot of damage if they can get that stun from Keanu to land.
Yeah, and actually, Mouz managed to clean the backs up as well, so this is a really good position from Mouz Sports. They capitalized on Leon just burning boots and his healing flask, and they get away a huge amount of resources from Dark Potato, who is at 9 CS, by the way, and I'm the Doom is at 24. So I'm the Doom is almost over triple the CS now, almost, of Dark Potato, which is a massive advantage to have if you're in the jungle. Dark Potato has thoroughly been stuck in this early game, hasn't got an Elder Treant to his name. He's lost his back camps now to I'm the Doom as well. First Elder Treant is going to go over to Dark Potato here. I'm the Doom looks like he wants to try and combat this, though. He has got a level advantage. The on-point has missed.
It just wants that healing camp as well. You know, Keanu's trying to get a flank off here. Hundor can come down from the lane as well, and Dark Potato will get the healers for himself. Keanu needs to try and get away because the Winter Spire has connected. I'm the Doom there, chasing in. There come the Porcupine Mortars from Hundor, but eventually Keanu will fall in between the turrets. I'm the Doom. No fear at all, just chasing here into G2, and Dark Potato needs to be so cautious. Riding this off, has been able to take his backs for himself. The healer just spawned. Serendipitously for Dark Potato, just a little bit after I'm the Doom, and Just Man had to leave the jungle.
Yeah, but this is an aggressive early game from the Rhyme. He knows that he can get into Blackfeather's jungle in the early stages of the game. Look to out-duel him. Hundor, he takes a lot of damage from Leon, who's going to back off. Actually,
that's exactly what he's going to do. He backed off.
Yeah, Just Man races to save him as well, though.
Indeed. Dark Potato's got his Eclipse Prism started off. Hundor looks like he's backing to build up his first completed item. It will be the Solar Blade, as expected, on that Baron. And the question becomes now, with basically a 1,500 gold lead, can Mouz actually translate this into anything monumental? Can they snowball this game away, or will they just continually just try and take away camps and then perhaps look to the gold mine? Do they need kills to win this game, or can they just sit in the jungle of G2 and starve them out?
I think when you're playing a later game scaling composition with the likes of a Baron, CP Blackfeather, who scales pretty well as well, it's all very well to try and turn, you know, your early invades and resource starvation and just say, hey, we're denying them farm, but you need to turn it into something tangible, like you were saying. Like, you need to turn this into a tangible lead. And I think from this point, you need to take the advantage of the fact that I'm the Doom is ahead in item spikes. They need to force fights by going for a siege on the first tier turret. They need to look to force the first gold mine when it stacks up to near full. You know, that's the kind of way you want to bring a later game scaling composition into making decisions, because you can outscale them by just having more gold. You know, a later game scaling composition, if you're on even terms, will scale with you. But if you move where the scale is by just having more gold than them, obviously you're going to be in a great position. So that's what I want to see Mousesports do, with Dark Potato is forced away again, going for the Crystal Sentry. This is the kind of moves that I wanted to see Mousesports making.
Very good takeaway there by the Doom. Secures the Crystal Sentry. Dark Potato has to pop his healing flask as he meets a Winter Spire. It might be autumn in the real world, but Dark Potato is feeling pretty chilly as Winter keeps connecting. Does manage to get one of his backs. Leon's actually caught out a little bit here as he jumps onto Hundor, who jumps away with a jump jet, but eventually he's just dead. And Leon kills him basically in a 1v1.
Yeah, use that exact combo that we were talking about, by the way. The ability to just pop his ultimate onto the Baron when he uses the jump jets. Sticks to him, Baron lands, you come out, you deal the damage, and then you finish him off. So that was exactly what the Atlas does. We mentioned earlier, that ability for Weapon Power Idris to stick to that Baron, and a really good start by Mousesports here, up to an almost 3,000 gold lead. Gold Miner is stacking up. I want to see them try and force it. I want to see them bring G2 into a fighting scenario, especially now that Justman has the Gauntlet. He can look to capitalize on that. Dark Potato is not yet level 8. He's got about 3/4 of a level to go. So there's a massive, sort of, I guess about a minute to 45 seconds where they can say, okay, let's start the gold mine. Let's force this. They either respond and we can force a team fight, or we just straight up take a huge global gold advantage again.
And the issue, I think, actually for Mousesports is, as much as they can get these big advantages, if they're not taking objectives, their siege under turrets is absolutely awful. Like, you've got two basically melee champions, that heroes that are just trying to push and siege against a Baron who can clear waves pretty effectively, and then on point, CP on point from Blackfeather. It becomes really hard to actually siege under turrets. So as you say, they need to force these bigger objectives and actually pull G2 away from the lane to be able to win the fights.
I'm going to catch here, Kiana Nakoa.
What was that, sorry?
I tried to say Kiana Nakoa and I said it too quickly and it came out with, I don't know what it came out like, but I just hoped that you wouldn't
definitely a word.
I just hoped that you wouldn't pull it up, but you did, so don't worry.
Kiana Nakoa is going to get the blast going down onto 3 members. Hundor trying to put the damage in from the side. There's the Fountain as well. Under Doom caught out a little bit, but great Valkyrie will get the kill. And now G2 are a man down as they look for the fight against Leon. A Fountain in response as Dark Potato now needs to run away, uses the healing flask of his own. Hundor jumps towards the side. The Ion Cannon, the kill straight onto I Am the Doom. The Gauntlet placed eventually, but Mousesports is a little bit too late to save their jungler.
Yeah, they again, like you said, they went for a very aggressive fight under the turret. I think they were under appreciating the damage output of a level 8 Blackfeather when he's got that Shattered Glass on board. And again, allowing G2 just a little bit of space here. Hundor's now at 2 items. And something that I've always been thoroughly impressed for by Hundor is, even despite his team being under the thumb a little bit, you know, they've been suffering at the hands of Mousesports in this early game, he still manages to secure tier 3 items pretty quickly, and he's working towards his Tyrant's Monocle now, pre-9 minutes. It's not a bad place for the Baron to be in. I actually think, you know, Mousesports, that gold mine is looking pretty juicy. You know, you have the ability to fight in close quarters. You draw G2 in there. Obviously, there's always the risk of a steal from a CP on point. Like you said, that's one of the highest damage pokes in the game. So always the potential for that to get stolen, as well as the burst damage from Baron. Maybe that's why they're avoiding it. But they do eliminate the sentry in the meantime.
They do. It's all I'm the Doom at the moment. 61 farm on him. 20 more than Dark Potato. Almost caught up with Hundor as well. He's only sitting on 87 himself. Leon doing a good job of farming up in the lane with that poison chip, but it's going to get stunned, and Hundor gets a double shot in. Dark Potato jumps all the way into the backline as well. Heal used by Leon there. I think it was actually the Fountain coming out from Justman, and now I'm the Doom has the flank. Keanu has to use a Fountain of his own. Here come the Porcupine Mortar straight on towards the face of the Rhyme. But are you feeling the rhythm? Dark Potato definitely is, with a great on point to secure the kill onto Leon, and now G2 come back into this game, only 2,000 gold behind. They can look to push, they can look to poke, and they can look to take down the first turret of the game.
Got a huge amount of damage onto that turret as well. They're going to take it very quickly here, and nothing that Justman can do to defend against it. And suddenly G2, as per usual, find their way back in some way, shape or form. They hit the item spikes that they needed to. They played around those item spikes incredibly well. And you feel that for all of that good that Mousesports has done, you know, they haven't done much with that lead. They kind of just went in, again, starved resources from the enemy team, but they didn't do anything tangible with it. They didn't convert it into a team fight. They didn't use their item spikes that they had before G2 had hit their own. And now they have really diminished that gold lead that they had to just over 2,000. It was on that 4,000 mark. It's almost been halved by G2 here. One bastion, though, Medic, is that the Crystal Sentry is eliminated. And when you're playing a late game scaling composition, often a bastion of safety is that area in your own jungle that the Crystal Sentry protects. They haven't got that anymore. Gold Miner has now been started.
There's the gauntlet as well. Kiana will be caught out a little bit, but I'm the Doom takes some damage. Here's the Iron Cannon. Hunter chased in with the Shimmer Strike by Leon, but he can't quite get enough damage down onto the Baron to kill him. The Valkyrie falls as well from G2. The Gold Miner still there. And the Doom and Justman will have to kite this one back out a little bit if they want to keep it up. Dark Potatoes jumped onto Leon in the lane. Leon turns it back around and puts the damage down on towards Dark Potato. Immense gold payout for Mouz as they continue the aggression. Hundor's so low. The Chakram not quite able to secure that kill, and G2 do just have to retreat for the time being. They need to be cautious because Mouz Sports are looking for their first turret of the game as well. Leon pushes forward. Keanu there. Hasn't got the Blast Tremor, has got the Merciless Pursuit, of course, but that will be the turret falling. It'll be a 4,000 gold lead for Mouz.
Oh, and Dark Potato just survives there on point and didn't quite go down to the Chakram, but goodness me, a very aggressive move. And I think that's what I would have said that's what Mouz Sports needed to do earlier. You saw how effective it was by drawing G2 into an enclosed space where you're going to get maximum effectiveness out of your Rhyme. You're going to allow Leon the route in onto Hundor a little bit more effectively. You can set up the engage with those gauntlets more nicely. You saw how effective it was just there. That would have been effective as well also maybe 4 or 5 minutes ago. So, you know, if they keep up that pressure, this is a winning route for the Mouz Sports roster. Hundor did pick up a bit of armor though. He picked up light armor against Leon just to sort of respect that damage output. He's gone Tension Bow, he's gone Poison Shiv, he's gone Sorrow Blade. Pretty much the bog standard, old school, pre-Tension Bow nerf build as that Potato gets engaged on.
He does underneath the turret. There's the Iron Cannon though, and that's going to do a lot of work to Leon and to Justman. Leon goes in. They've already got the kill. Leon almost falls, does just manage to keep himself alive with that fountain coming out from Justman. Now it's up to Dark Potato and Keanu to try and defend. Such a monumental lead. The Blast Tremor doesn't really do much there either, and Leon's going to jump straight back in. Almost kills off Dark Potato, but can't quite do it. Still, Mouz Sports able to start taking these fights, start taking the wins that they need, and they are seeming to shut down G2's aggression.
Yeah, Hundor just absolutely obliterated, and the Doom has done. I love this on Rhymes. It's something that I will praise until the end of time. Very early investment into mobility against a ranged and mobile team. You need to be able to keep up with your prey if they are a ranged and mobile carry like Baron. Obviously, you know, moderately slow otherwise, but those jump jets makes him quite slippery. So having those journey boots in tow will allow Rhyme to seek the opportunities to follow Baron up, follow Leon up, and look for those killing blows, or even just placing a Valkyrie in range. Really important to have those in tow. Also, Justman's prioritization as a third item, War Treads, does the same thing. Heavy investment into mobility here from Mouz Sports. Super important, really sensible decision on my end. And Leon as well, playing an incredible Idris this game, really putting pressure on Hundor, who has gone to coat of plates. Massive investment into defense for Hundor.
He needs it though, because he keeps getting jumped on by Leon. You know, Leon's doing so much work with that Poison Shiv, with the Sorrow Blade, with the Tension Bow. He just absolutely melts through these G2 members, and there's another gold miner taken by Mouz. We said we wanted to see them take these objectives. That's exactly what they're doing. They just need to be able to utilize this gold lead, because at the moment they have only taken one turret. Leon's going to jump forward towards Dark Potato, who rose offensives away from the fight. The Winter Spire comes out. If we get to late game, if we get to 6 items on these carries, you have to think that G2 have a slight advantage with the range that they do have coming out from Dark Potato and from Hundor. That Unpoint and the Porcupine Mortars from Hundor can do so much work before Mouz can even engage the fight.
Yeah, Keanu as well, just getting these stuns off. Looking for Leon going in, Lester.
Straight onto Hundor. They're trying to jump straight onto that backline. Dark Potato dodging around as much as he can. Hundor's still alive, but already Dark Potato's dead, and Leon just doing so much work in this front line. He's basically the tank for his team because he distracts all of G2. Now they need to look for this turret as well. Mouz get themselves to safety. They've taken down one man, and instead of going for the turret, they're going to go for that tree and then turn their eyes back towards the objective.
Yeah, Hundor very afraid to move in. No massive engage from Mouz Sports, but Leon does go in.
He does, looking for the engage. Keanu there as well, the jump back. Condor trying to do what he can, but he's right in the midst of all three members of Mouz, and they collapse incredibly well. Another kill for Mouse Sports, 6 kills to 2 up, a 7,000 gold lead as well. They just need to get away from Keanu and Dark Potato here. And if they can get to safety, they are in such a strong position to look towards the Kraken next.
Absolutely. Leon going to back off. I mean, I love the decisiveness of Mouse Sports with this roster. You know, they're able to just pull the trigger. Everybody looks like they're on the same page this game. There is no discordance between the way they want to play these team fights. You know, they jump in, immediately pressure Hundo. And because Dark Potato, I don't think he's felt like he has been threatened these fights. Hasn't gone for any armor. So Leon, he jumps onto Hundo, backs Hundo out of the fight, and then turns onto Dark Potato, who absolutely gets shredded, especially once he's used both roads offensives. Just gets shredded by Leon because there is no armor investment for Dark Potato, so he just goes down in an instant to this build from Leon with the buff tension bow. And now with Kraken up, it looks like Mouse Sports are trying to bait this one and bring G2 into fighting again. It's a good move from them.
You need to be cautious, of course, if you can get... If G2 can get an advantageous fight, they can still win out these trades. You've got a Broken Myth and Shatterglass finished on Dark Potato. You've got Tension Bow, Tyrants, and Solar Blade on Hundo. They are pretty darn big if they can get the fight properly. Leon has to use the block with the second stun through the Echo. There's Leon with the Shimmer Strike onto Hundo. The Iron Can comes out and still Leon manages to get away even through that Blast Tremor. He jumps back in looking for Hundo. The Fountain comes out. Leon, there's the kill. Actually gets the kill. Just man doing absolute work on this Arden. And they will be able to clean up the 8 at the end as well. G2 falling to the wind and Mouse showing exactly why they are going to go through to the finals against SK Gaming.
Not quite yet, but it definitely feels like it's going to be the case.
I can sense it, X-Scoundrel. Unless there's a miracle Kraken steal, this game is as good as done.
Yeah, and Hundo really needs that last Tyrant's Monocle to start hitting as hard as the Baron can in the late game. It was so well timed, the gauntlet into the Chakram. Actually, I've been so impressed with Just Man's art in this game. He hasn't even got... so he has got the Echo as well, so he's got the double gauntlet. So even if Baron jumps out of one of them, you have the second to follow up. It's one of the really easy ways to shut down Baron and lock him into the arena, because he doesn't, like you said, he needs 4 damage items. Realistically, you can't really play 3 damage item Baron. He's been forced to go armor to deal with Leon's aggression. The tension bow build means he can't have a reflex block. So the double gauntlet is guaranteed to lock him in. And Catherine, without a crucible, means that she's unable to get him out either. So G2 in a really tricky position here. Leon's found another opportunity.
Engage onto Hundo, Shimmer Strike onto Dark Potato. They get the Valkyrie off as well. They're just looking for that kill. Look how far away Keanu is. He's just like, guys, please let me catch up. But he just can't do enough. The Iron Cannon comes out. It's not really going to do that much work onto Mouse. Now Mouse can push forward with this Kraken. They want this first turret. It's going to fall in a matter of seconds. It's gone. They're looking for the second and for the game as well if they can take it. Gauntlet comes down from Just Man. That will be the second turret. And this will be the Crystal. This will be Mouse Sports going through to the finals up against SK Gaming.
Well, Mouse Sports needed revitalization after the departure of Tricky. Leon said he moved to the team because he didn't think he could win with his previous team. It certainly looks like he can win with this one. An incredible upset over G2. Well, not even an upset. We knew this team was going to be good, but in terms of standings, this really hits G2 hard. That last fight was brilliant, by the way. They forced Hundo back. He then got hit by the Valkyrie, zoned out from the mounted by a Winter Fire, and was finished off, allowing them to secure the game off the back of that engage. A decisive, heavy, mobility-focused engage from Mouse Sports. I love their itemization. I love the way they played the fights. They deserve to face SK in the finals, and I think it's going to be a really good series.
Yeah, great stuff by Mouse Sports to take the 2-1 victory over G2. We're going to hand it back across towards Munch and our analysts to break that down and to lead us into the finals of EU Week 1 in this split 2.
Thank you very much, guys. What a game coming out from Mouse Sports. They win the series 2-1, but I feel like that was the first game in the series where they actually won the game instead of just stealing it from G2. Obviously, I'm the Doom, exceptional player across the course of this series. He was the one that took game 1 in the end, but then he also stepped up in this game, and the whole of the team really stepped up here.
Yeah, I mean, they were able to shut down this Baron pick so effectively. I was wary of the Baron going into the Rhyme because he's so durable that it's very difficult. Like, the Baron's strength is that he just deletes targets in an instant. You can't do that against the Baron. You can't really do it against an Idris either because, well, as you mentioned, once he jump jets, you just use your ultimate Now all of a sudden he can't use that double shot on the Idris. He has to use it on one of the 2 tankier members, and the double shot just kind of gets wasted a little bit. And it was just a really well-played game all around from Mousesports.
No, exactly. I mean, I talked about it a little bit yesterday too. The Baron pick needs to be picked up against squishy heroes. You can't make it work against tanky heroes. The first game, when Mousesports picked it up, they had a Celeste that they were going up against, and Baron could focus the Celeste and burst her down. This time, the Rhyme, the Idris, the Rhyme, we gotta talk about it. Also, I really hope teams start respecting the Doom's Rhyme a lot more, because he's actually been performing incredibly well on it, and that was a big reason to why they got ahead early on.
All right, well, we do have a few replays of what happened during the early stages of this game as G2, Mouz were the ones in control for basically the entire matchup here. G2 didn't seem to be able to get themselves on the board.
Yeah, and you see Mouz just putting pressure on this lane. It was a beautiful blast trimmer to start this off, but the rest of G2 just isn't able to follow it up. You don't have... they'd just gotten the level 8 on Dark Potato, but he wasn't really able to have the level of impact. I'm the Doom goes low, but all of a sudden the Fountain Cut's used, he starts healing up, and now they just have continuous pressure. That's all they did.